Oldham versus Man City, April 1984. In this video, we rewind to April 1984 and a Division 2 encounter between Oldham and Man City at Oldham's Boundary Park Stadium. Known to all that were present as the Bad Good Friday game or the ladder match, for reasons that will become clear later on. Let's hear the stories. First, we have Mainaline Express old boy Anthony, who told us, Good Friday 1984. The sun was blazing over Manchester when we met at Victoria Station. T-shirts, shorts, cans in hand. And that buzz you only got before a proper away day. Word had gone round all week. Oldham wasn't all ticket. No segregation, no limits, just turn up and get in. That was enough to set the mainline lads, the Moss side and the Stockport lot, twitching with excitement. We piled onto the train to Oldham Mumps, hundreds of us. Singing, stamping, lager fizzing over the carriage floor. When the train screeched into that tiny station, the name on the sign made everyone laugh. "Mumps? What kind of place is this?" someone shouted. We weren't laughing for long. The air up there was thin and mean, and the locals already looked edgy, watching us pour out like a blue wave. By the time we'd hit the town centre, the place was trembling. I remember gangs of blues hanging outside jewellery shops, egging each other on, waiting for someone to make the first move. The windows never stood a chance once the first brick went in. It was chaos, shutters rattling, sirens echoing down side streets, lads sprinting off with watches and chains before disappearing into the back streets. We regrouped outside the amusement arcade. That went too, smashed to bits in seconds. You could feel the adrenaline, that mad electricity that used to hum through the terraces in those days. Then someone shouted, "Come on, Boundary Park's only up the hill." And off we went, streams of us flooding up to the ground. At the away end, there was a queue, but no order, no control. One copper with a dog tried to keep things in line. The poor sod didn't stand a chance. Someone booted at a chained pipe outside the turnstile, and when it snapped, we realized what was hanging from it. A ladder. "Get it over here!" one of the Stockport lads yelled. Within seconds it was passed under the turnstile, clattering onto the terrace like treasure from the gods. We legged it in behind it, climbing up, spilling into every corner of the ground. Lads were on the roof of the family stand, waving scarves, shouting down. Then the first few got over the wall and into the Oldham home end. That was it. The place exploded. We surged across the terrace like a storm breaking loose. Oldham lads scattered, a few stood their ground and got leathered for it. Fists, boots, a few lumps of concrete flying. I saw one copper get cracked on the head by a chunk of terrace. He went down like a sack, helmet rolling away. Didn't cheer it. Even I knew that looked bad. But there was no stopping it now. Someone ripped an advertising hoarding from the fence, and soon planks were flying through the air like javelins. The family stand, built with Ford money years before, was a war zone. "This is ours now," someone roared. It wasn't bravado, it was fact. Blues were everywhere, laughing, climbing, chanting, "We are City, Super City, from Main Road." The game had kicked off somewhere in the middle of it all, but no one cared. I remember the rain starting, first a drizzle, then a downpour so fierce it felt biblical. We were drenched, steam rising from our clothes, slipping on the terracing, still swinging and shoving. At one point I looked down from the top of the stand. It looked like a boating lake at the bottom. A proper monsoon, but no one was leaving. A bunch of us jumped down onto the pitch when another gate got forced open. Blue shirts everywhere, stewards legging it, the ref trying to drag players off. 5 minutes of pure mayhem before we were herded back. Or most of us anyway. Some legged it across to the other side and carried on scrapping in the Oldham section. Outside, it was worse. The police had finally shown up. Too few, too late. We spilled out into the streets, soaked, wired, half laughing, half snarling. Anything that looked remotely Oldham got it. Cars, buses, shop fronts. the smell of smoke and rain mixed with the taste of blood and beer. I remember one lad with a ripped shirt, teeth missing, shouting at a copper through the smoke, "Where were you all game then, eh?" The copper just stared, drenched and defeated. We regrouped near the station, soaked to the bone, walking like penguins. Lads were stripping off, shirts on heads, still buzzing from it all. No one knew the score. Some said it was 2-2, but it didn't matter. The day wasn't about football anymore. It was about that rush, that feeling of being part of something untamable. The papers later called it the Battle of Bad Good Friday. 30 nicked, a few hospitalized, and Boundary Park left in ruins. To us, though, it was just another away day, the maddest one yet. As the train rattled back to Manchester that evening, we were all silent for once. The windows fogged, clothes dripping, heads throbbing. Someone muttered, "Won't see days like that again." He was right. You couldn't. You shouldn't. But for that one Good Friday in 1984, the whole of Oldham learned what it meant when City came to town. Oldham fine young casuals, old boy, Andy told us. The sun was already splitting the pavements when I left the house up by Broadway, scarf round my wrist and a sense of something brewing in the air. City were coming. Everyone in Oldham knew it. You could feel it all week. Word going round the pubs, the bookies, the barbers. They're bringing thousands. We'd played plenty of big sides before, but this felt different. City were dropping into the old second division and bringing all their trouble with them. The club hadn't made it all ticket, and the coppers didn't seem too worried. "It'll be fine," one said to me outside Boundary Park before the turnstiles opened. "We're not expecting much bother." Famous last words. By 1 o'clock, the town centre was already heaving. Groups of blues everywhere, spilling out of the pubs, singing, staggering, bottles in hand. Some of our lot from the Chaddy end were stood on Yorkshire Street watching it unfold, trying not to look intimidated, but knowing full well we were outnumbered. I saw a jewellery shop window go, then another. A few coppers turned up, but they might as well have stayed home. The city mob was too big, too wound up. Someone said the amusement arcade had gone next, smashed up completely. We knew then what was heading our way. By the time I got to Boundary Park, the place was already crawling with blues. They were pouring up Sheepfoot Lane, hundreds at a time, waving scarves, singing "We Are City, Super City." You could feel the ground vibrating before the gates even opened. I went into the Chaddy Road end, our home end, with a few mates. It was roasting hot then, proper t-shirt weather. But you could see the storm clouds gathering, literally and figuratively. When we looked over at the away end, it was already overflowing. Lads were climbing the fences, some even crawling over the walls. It was madness. Then we saw it. A ladder being passed under the turnstiles. At first we laughed, thought it was a wind-up. Then blues started climbing up it, pouring over into the family stand. That was meant to be the quiet bit, mums and kids, but not for long. Suddenly, advertising boards were being ripped up, wood flying through the air. A copper took a chunk of concrete to the head. Even from where we were, you could see the blood. Someone shouted, "They're in here!" And sure enough, a surge of blue shirts came charging down our end. It was like a scene out of a nightmare. Dozens of them piling into our section, fists flying, boots going. People scrambled over the crush barriers, trying to get out of the way. But some of us stood firm. You don't just give up your end. I remember Big Mick swinging an iron bar he'd found near the fence, catching one of theirs across the shoulder. They retreated for a moment, but then another wave came. Concrete, bottles, wooden planks, anything they could get their hands on. I'll never forget the sound. Not chanting, not singing, just this low roar. Hundreds of blokes shouting, grunting, crashing into each other. I copped a boot in the ribs and went down, could taste blood in my mouth. Someone pulled me up, one of our lads I barely knew, and we both swung at the same time. A city lad dropped, clutching his face. Then the police waded in, truncheons out, completely lost. They didn't know who to hit. We were all mixed together. And then the heavens opened. It was like someone turned on a tap. 1 minute blazing sunshine, the next a monsoon. The terraces turned into rivers, water streaming down the steps. Everyone soaked through, shirts clinging, steam rising. It didn't stop the fighting, though. I saw blues running onto the pitch, waving flags, chasing stewards. Some of ours went after them, met in the middle, and it all kicked off again right under the players' noses. The game was still going, somehow. When the whistle blew, no one even noticed the score. I think it was 2-2, but who cared? All we knew was the battle wasn't done. Outside was worse. City lads everywhere, soaked to the skin but still up for it, smashing at anything Oldham. A couple of buses got bricked, shop windows again, cars overturned. The police had no control. I saw one blue get bitten on the backside by a dog, which raised a rare laugh amid the chaos, but most of it was grim. Lads bleeding, people running in every direction, sirens echoing round the hills. We stuck together, 5 or 6 of us, back down the hill toward Mumps. Every side street seemed to have another scuffle going on. A few of our older lads were shouting, "Back this way, keep together!" It felt like defending your own doorstep, your own people, outnumbered but not beaten. By the time I got home, I was drenched, bruised, and half deaf from the noise. My mum nearly fainted when she saw me. I told her it was just a bit of bother, but we both knew it was more than that. It was a war zone. They called it the Battle of Bad Good Friday in the papers, said 30 were arrested. Should have been more, if you ask me. City brought thousands that day, maybe 15,000, and turned our little ground into a battlefield. But we didn't roll over. We stood up for ourselves, for Boundary Park, for Oldham. When I think back now, I don't remember the football. Just the chaos, the courage, and that feeling of standing shoulder to shoulder while everything around you went mad. We were only a small town club that day, but by God, we made sure City knew they'd been to Oldham. We thank Anthony and Andy for their recollections. It's clear that Man City overtook Oldham that day back in 1984. It would appear they held 3 sides of the ground, and there wasn't much the Oldham boys could do against such overwhelming odds. Although they tried to defend their turf, it was a bit too much for them. Both these firms well respected in their different ways, by people in the know. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe, as it really helps our channel grow to give you bigger, better content. Until the next video, bye for now.